Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. You know, the Bible tells us that Joseph actually saved Egypt from perishing. The inhabitants of Egypt would have died of hunger, because after 7 years of abundance came 7 years of scarcity. Nothing grew, and they would have died. But Joseph told the Pharaoh, after interpreting his dreams, after the 7 good years, you'll have 7 bad years. So you have to save during those 7 good years enough food to last you for the 7 bad years. And they were also given a special land called Goshen. When Jacob came, everything was great. Suddenly, the Bible says, Vayakom melech chadash al Mitzrayim. A new king arose. Some say maybe it was the same king, but with new policies. And he started thinking, what about these Hebrews? Supposedly that tomorrow we are at war with somebody, and these Hebrews become the allies of the invaders. We'll have an enemy from within. We have to eliminate them. Very interesting. It is not that the Hebrews changed their behavior. The Hebrews did everything right. They helped Egypt survive. They lived peacefully with them. Suddenly, things change, politics change. Somebody came with a new idea, and they say this is what anti-Semitism is really. Anti-Semitism doesn't have to do with Jewish behavior. It has to do with the thinking of the anti-Semite. Suddenly he sees the Hebrew as a danger, as somebody who threatens his very existence, and he has to eliminate him. So, but the Bible says that what did this Pharaoh do? He imposed taxes. He killed the firstborn. He did many things in order to make sure that the Hebrews don't multiply. But it says that the opposite happened. By the same measure that he was oppressing them, they multiplied and they flourished the other way around. And that wasn't by God's intervention. It says simply, Pharaoh did one thing and the Jewish people did something else. Why did the Jewish people do something else? Because this is part of our human nature. You know, we grow in suffering. We become better when we find out what the alternatives are. When the environment is not hospitable, then is when we create new things in order to overcome the difficulties. You know, there is a Palestinian Talmud and there is a Babylonian Talmud. The Palestinian Talmud was created in Israel, in our own land, the Babylonian, in exile. You know which is the more important one? It is really the Babylonian Talmud. Maybe exile makes you produce many more things. You know, they say that in Spain there were centuries, glorious centuries of Jewish production, living in harmony. But there were also anti-Semitism. You know, the greatest Spanish Jew, I think, was Maimonides, Rambam. He was born in Cordova, but he had to flee Cordova. Why did he have to flee Cordova? Because of anti-Semitism. He ended up in Egypt. He was in Israel. He didn't die in Spain at all. And he was the greatest mind maybe in the Middle Ages. As they used to say, Mi Moshe ad Moshe lokam ke Moshe. From Moses, the biblical Moses, until Moses, that was Maimonides' name. He was Moses, son of Maimon. There was nobody like him. That's only in difficulty. You know, Poland never expelled its Jews. On the other hand, there was a lot of anti-Semitism in Poland. Maybe it had to do with the dominance of the Catholic Church. Who knows why, but there was always anti-Semitism. Yet the greatest yeshivot were actually in Poland prior to the Second World War. You know, in times of difficulty is when you produce many things. Read the history of great composers, of great literature works, how they're produced under duress. Many people say that the United States, there's tremendous abundance. There's too much abundance. Life is too good. So nowadays you start to be preoccupied with tangential things. and actually you begin to go down because there are no obstacles that you have to overcome. You can really feed and clothe everybody. You have technology available, and the good life, instead of making you progress further, it seems it's an obstacle. You start questioning many things, and you start declining as well. In the state of Israel, some say maybe a similar phenomenon is occurring. You know, there's tremendous welfare, well-being in the state of Israel. You know, startup nation with new companies flourishing all the time. Look at the buildings that they're doing. But on the other hand, Israel is surrounded by enemies that still want to destroy it. And maybe that is the factor that keeps them together and that makes impossible for them to eat themselves up from within. So I say to you the following: don't think that difficult times are really that bad. They're not necessarily a negative factor. Maybe it's the other way around. When you have an obstacle that you have to overcome, then is when you start using your innermost strength. I think I mentioned this. Golda Meir said, "You'll never know the dimension of your inner strength until the time when that is your only option." And difficulties make you use your inner strength. So take difficulties with a grain of salt. Maybe they're a catalyst for you to grow further and to have a better future.